What's up, everybody?
Hey.
What's up, everybody? It's Ivan with Trouts Fishing, back with 5 flies for January 2022. Let us be the last to welcome you to 2022. Happy New Year. You got anything to add?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you all.
Yeah, we nailed that.
First of all, stoked to have you here, my
What's
friend.
up, buddy?
Yeah.
Oh, let's try it
Happy
again.
New Year, dude.
Yeah, Happy New Year, man.
We like Zeke around here, just
Yeah.
like we like Scotty D. You know, those are
Right.
boys.
The guys, the fellas.
Great to be here.
Yes.
Great to be with the fellas down here. Always love coming to visit you guys.
Finally getting some snow up there.
Got a ton of snow. Yeah, 106% of average, at least at Breckenridge as of 2 days ago.
That's great news, actually.
Super good.
Right,
Can't wait.
You guys been dumped on.
Let's just
so.
keep it up, and we're gonna have full rivers next year. It would be great. So let's fingers crossed.
Can you talk to some guys? Can you talk to the snow guys about that? Say, hey,
I'll do
fill
my
it up.
best. I'll do my best. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it kind of started with Ulerfest, and it's stayed around. So who
good.
knows?
I mean, we were at like negative 8% snowpack, and now we're like, at least in the mountains, good. You know, certainly need more down on the front range, but you know,
did everyone do a good job of shoveling their walk when the snow hit?
we don't want to talk about it.
Shout out to Sam Footlick, the best shoveler of snow we know.
Sam, you're our boy.
Yeah.
You can't shovel a walk worth of though.
So January fishing is usually, I mean, we're starting to get. I don't want to be the first to break the news, but each day is a little bit longer than the next. You know, It might feel like we're in the depths of winter, but in truth, we're getting closer to spring every day.
What is it, like 3 minutes a day? But it's like, let's
Hey man,
go.
3 minutes is 3 minutes.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
That's 21 minutes over the course of an entire week.
Solstice is real.
You know,
We believe.
right? So January fishing is usually pretty cold. Typically the flows are low. You can get some good fishing on freestones, especially when you get those warmer batches of weather. But for the most part, it's like a tailwater game. There's obviously some things you can do that are a little bit different, but for the most part, small bugs, right? Midges, blue wings, attractors. Zeke, what do you like about fishing in January? What's your sort of go-to tactic? All that sort of stuff.
Really just looking around at the flows. I'll always check flows, see what's going on. Looking at weather, see what kind of weather is. If I don't have to be in negative digits or single digits, I'll try to find the place that's warmest. And then good resource that a lot of people don't know about, but sometimes there's webcams on some of the rivers. So look around there, see if I can see ice flow. And I could be doing that as we're leading up, knowing that I'm going to fish on Sunday and it's Friday, and I just look at the weather and see what they're doing. So we're just doing it at a 17-degree low on the webcams, and just kind of go with that flow and see where I'm going to go. And also, maybe add something else into the day too, whether it's going to the hot springs or a brewery or something afterwards, and somewhere I want to go. Or it's going to be sunny down in Salida. Cool, let's go there. It's going to be storming up in Summit County, just to add a little something to have a get out and enjoy Colorado kind of day.
Right, yeah, for sure. Yeah. You're a noted banana belt guy.
Love the banana belt, for sure. Whether it's there or wherever, there's going to be warmer weather for sure. Yeah. I mean, sometimes that'll be Glenwood Springs, so. Try to find those little pockets of warmer areas and get away. I'm in the snow all winter up in the Summit County, so when I have a chance to get away, it's a good time to find that banana belt, and that just to see even dirt is great.
You get tired of shredding the gnar up there,
Totally.
Like you pull in and you just get spit right out of them, and you just drop in and just smack the lip.
Skin it every morning is so tough.
The body gets sore when you.
Hey man, let's get some sun, okay?
I hear, man.
Tanner, what do you like about January fishing? I know we'll be doing some filming later this month.
Yep. I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, just doing your research, I think, is can make the days this time of year so much better. Like, it can be snowing in one half of the state, and you don't have to go where it's snowing. Like, it could be, South Platte could be clear, blue could be horrible, frying pan could be awful. Arkansas could be an option, you know. So doing some lead up work like that, watch weather trends, that sort of stuff. You can still find some pretty decent days. Of course, it's still going to be cold. Like a warm January day, even in Salida, is like 50, 40, 50.
Yeah.
With probably a pretty cold start in the morning. But you can find those spots, or you can honestly buckle down and on those freezing cold days go have those cool legendary tailwaters of Colorado to yourself. You know, great time to hit like the Taylor or the Pan or something like that when it's going to be freezing ass cold, because you'll be one of the only people there to get to fish those stretches, and they'll still fish really well. So, and you're close enough to your car that you can like go.
Do you like steady weather, like steady like weather hold like patterns, or do you want a little bit of stuff moving through?
I think steady weather from a temperature standpoint, you know, like as long as the temperature is good, I don't care if it like snowed, but as long as it's like 40 or something like that consistently,
getting huge drops.
Yeah, you're not going from like, and the overnight temp's probably what I look at more, you know. I'm not too worried about like if it's only getting down to like 20 and up to 33, like that's pretty consistent. But like, if you're still having that like negative 15 degree that's going to jump up to 30, it's like, it's going to be a while for that water to get warm. Like it's going to be chunky, icy until like even, it might not even ever get unicy because 30 is still not that warm, you know? So the temperature consistency is nice, but overnight temps, those are the ones I'm watching the most.
Yeah, most definitely. I would agree with that for sure.
Snowstorms. Do you like fishing them?
I do like fishing in snowstorms. It's warmer.
There's something magical about it.
Yeah, it's magical about it. And I think it is actually warmer. Like, right? Like, it's like the air is like, it's usually not going to be windy, of course.
Don't say that.
Yeah, we could have those blizzard windy days.
Watch that W word.
Yeah, that sucks. But yeah, I mean, usually like those big puffy cloud pow days that you guys call up in Summit County where you guys are like shredding, you know? It's just still and beautiful outside. It's
also good for drifting, bro.
exactly like, bro.
Drop in, just ride the barrel and get pitted, so pitted like that.
No, it's doing the snowstorm is great, and you can maybe catch some fish on dry flies.
Right. Right.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's weird how that works. When it's snowing and still, they eat dries. When it's snowy and windy, they don't eat anything.
Right. So I think the still thing, right?
Yeah, and then you don't want to be there.
No.
Or driving home.
Not one bit.
It's like, I guarantee if I know that you're fishing and it's like I'm going there and it's windy and cold, like I know you guys are sitting in your car maybe drinking beer or being like, why are we here? You know, like, and that's probably everybody.
I mean, there's something to be said for just drinking beer somewhere else other than your house.
Right.
You know?
100% on that. You know, I mean, we've done massive days of just ended up being a big drive. Ended up fishing, catching fish, but a lot more of a drive. And you know what? Sometimes that's the fun of it.
Just hanging out.
And seeing what is out there, because sometimes there isn't a webcam and there, and you haven't been to that area, and you're like, let's go see a drive and see if we can find any open water, even if it's a slit in the ice. And all of a sudden you find that slit and you catch a few fish. Great. Or just the beer and the lunch. I mean, I always tell people, a couple things with winter fishing. You have to have to forget about your toes. You have to have a bad memory. That's the best thing. So you just forget about that, and then just to enjoy that day, and that sure makes that beer taste good afterwards. You know,
I was gonna say
that was an amazing day.
I could drive up and go to Ollie's with you anytime. You know, like
Right.
It's like, fishing was cool, but Ollie's is open, you know,
right,
or wherever Zeke recommends we go. So it's like,
and the cold beers taste delicious,
right,
even in the middle of winter,
right. That's valid. Yeah,
the fireplace is even better. You're just like, this feels good.
And again in the winter, like, don't be prepared to be let down, but like lower your expectations. Like you're gonna go, and it's like if you're the guy who's mad that the water's slushy till noon, it's like
I always feel like that should be the major theme of Five Flies. Period.
It's like
lower your expectations,
right?
Just in everything.
January, it's like if you guys are fishing, it's like props to you for being out there. Like we said, enjoy being out there because you aren't at work, you're not at home. Like, but if you're not catching fish in January when it's 18 degrees, like I don't think you need to go smaller than 6X. I don't think you need to go smaller than that 24 midge. It's like they're probably just not eating, you know. And that's like that's fine, you know.
Right.
So
there's a question that's going to come up in the question and answer portion that I think sort of. I know what your answers will probably be, but I mean, when there's sometimes it's not worth it to me. Yeah, sometimes it's not worth it to to go that. Like, hey, like the 24s, they're not working. What am I going to do? 28? God no, I don't tie. Number one, number two. Who's tying that fly on?
Right.
Not me.
Right.
Not these banana hands.
Yeah.
No way.
That's I agree. There is a limit for me. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to say that, but yes, absolutely. I hate 6X, so like 6X will always be probably to like my last fly, my like 3 fly rig. Like if I have to go to 2 flies, it's like if my whole leader becomes like 6X, like I'm over it. Like I'm gonna hook a nice fish at one of our tailwaters, it's gonna break me off. It's just like pick and choose your battles, you know?
Right.
So don't lose 18 flies, you know, because you're just breaking off every fish, like every hook set, every time you hook a rock, you know, like
Right.
relax. There's probably a great restaurant that has a fireplace, maybe a game that you like or something on, and probably some pretty funny people in there, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that always begs my question of okay, so if they're not eating the 24s or whatever, at least it doesn't seem like they are. Okay, what am I actually doing wrong? So do I need to, have more weight, or are they deeper? Are they? So what am I doing wrong? Because I would pretty much think that most of the time 4X fluorocarbon can a lot of times do the trick.
This is that's a Summit County.
It is a Summit County thing. I don't fish a massive amount of the super picky tailwaters, but I have fished the Dream Stream a ton, and I'll be honest, 5 and maybe 5X to my first couple flies, and maybe 6X, but prefer I'm going to try to start with that 4X or 5X fluorocarbon and see what I can do, and then start downsizing. But yeah, I don't, maybe a size 26. What Black Beauty Emerge is about the only size I've ever I've ever thrown that small, and that's just because it's a specific pattern that works pretty well on the blue, and I'll even cut the tuft off, and it's on a curved hook, and it's just a special fly. But other than that, I never buy never buy anything smaller than a 24. I don't think.
If you could find a 22 in my fly box,
What are you gonna give them?
I'm fishing that next time I'm at Becky's.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, we'll get to it. Let's start with fly number 1. Fly number 1 is Landon Mayer's mini leech, brown, size 14. Zeke, since you picked all these flies, answer number 1 goes to you every time. Why did you pick this fly?
Because it's a good attractor. I don't always use a little bigger fly as an attractor fly as your first pattern, but I will. Especially that pattern, that's a good one for the Colorado. I mean, the Arkansas, the South Platte, you can catch fish on it all around the state. Again, it's not something I typically use a ton of, but I know a lot of the guys in the shop are using it a lot. And if I'm thinking like, again, maybe I'm thinking, why am I not catching fish? That would be a good one to put on just to be like, okay, I'm going to see if I can attract their attention, really see what's going on. They're not eating the midges. They're not eating the 24s I already have on here. Let's throw something different at them, give them a little different food option. It looks really good in the water as well. And can't really go wrong with it for sure.
Is it leech season all the time, Tanner?
Might as well be. It's always worth. I mean, just like you said, it's always, and we touch on it almost every episode. Like having a big fly on to start to try to find fish. Like you don't know they're not eating that. Right. I think a lot of people get in that habit of, oh my gosh, I must fish 20s, 22s, 20, 24. It's like try 12.
Right.
Try 14. It's like you don't know if you've never tried it. So if they're eating that fly, your land hookup ratio vastly improves. So yeah,
for sure. And you can put the leeches in this category. You can also throw stone flies, crane flies, worms, eggs,
Scuds.
obviously scuds. Attractors sort of will be a lead fly for me throughout. Throughout any month of the year if I'm nymphing, but
big copper johns.
Yeah, big copper johns in the months of January, February, into March. I'm going to be throwing a big fly first and then throwing a couple small flies behind it. Fish want to eat protein.
Sometimes.
Most of the time. Generally, they like protein,
Yep.
And like they're trying to make it through the winter. Those things are present year round. Just like the stoneflies, what are they like? What's it take? 3 years for them to hatch? Like they're in the system all the time. Yeah, that's a fact right there.
I think you touched on like almost every video, and I respect.
He is the man of facts right there.
I like that fact.
How long does it take stoneflies to molt? Like
it's a good fact.
3 years. Fact. Cool.
It's a good fact, man.
It is a good fact. Yeah.
It's a true fact. People forget.
Yeah.
That stoneflies are around all the time. People forget that.
And if your fish is hungry in the winter and wants some protein, so that big snack.
Right.
You can be surprised if you're in Cheeseman Canyon. been in that or a past river lake around a rock, and this time of year, like that can be like you can smoke.
People forget that there's stoneflies in the South Platte. People forget that.
Fact.
How long? How many?
3 years.
3
3
years,
years.
I think. Is it?
Yeah.
I think it
Is it 3 years?
Nice.
We could probably look back last month and see if it was 3 years then.
Hopefully, I've deleted all that footage.
Yeah,
It's just like 3. It's like 6 clips. 3 years lifespan for. It's probably not. It's probably like 4 years. Or something like that.
pretty sure this is the first time we've ever heard that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's new. That's new Yvonne material for sure.
Hey man, I got a limited bag. Yeah. All right, that's fly number 1. Let's get to fly number 2. All right, fly number 2 is the 2-bit hooker, black size 20. Zeke, do you use this as a small stonefly? Present 3 years out of
weirdly, stoneflies have a life of, 3 years?
I think it's fact. It's a fact.
Right? Actually, I do. Yeah, that actually is a great little small stonefly for like the upper blue. There is a good little stonefly hatch in the
Probably upsize it from a 20 though, yeah?
20s actually that size. Those 2-bit hookers actually
Yeah.
are pretty small.
Yeah.
They actually run pretty small, and they're really in the water. They just look so buggy. So it's a good little pat. Even though there's 2 tungsten beads in there, hard to believe really. They're actually pretty small in that size 20.
Fact.
Fact, yes. Let's see here. Look, the good thing about that fly, it can look like those little mini stoneflies. It can look like a little Baetis. It can look like a midge. Looks like a lot of different things, and again, in that small size, it's going to be the majority of the insects in the rivers in the winter. So it's just a really good searching pattern, if you will, a tractor pattern, and I definitely like that flash on there as well, and in that black or browns that they come with, but black's just kind of a little favorite of mine, just because it looks like a lot of different things in the water.
Yeah. You're a noted Charlie Craven fan.
That's a fact as well.
Fact.
We could go back.
Hey man, that's at least 3 facts I've dropped today. Why do you like the 2-bit hooker?
Just like we've probably talked about before, all Charlie's flies, heavy, lean. I mean, I like fishing flies that have weight, so I don't have to kerplunk split shot. So that fly has 2 tungsten beads. Fact, right?
Yeah. I think it's the 2-bit hooker.
So yeah, in black, like you said, pretty much everything Zeke said. Versatility is key with that fly.
Bit is actually shortened for bead. 2-bit hooker? I'll be here all week.
Oh God.
Fly number 3 is the poison tongue, black and olive, size 20. It seems as though Zeke is also a fan of Charlie Craven. If I'm counting this correctly, there's 6 flies here you've actually noted. 4 of them are Craven patterns. Why do you like the Why do you like the poison tongue?
I really like the poison tongue, just because of that tungsten bead, number 1, and then that little tuft behind there looks like a little emerging little tuft. Air holds a little air to the body of that fly. It's got a little flash built in it as well, and then that body's pretty durable. The black and olive one is a very durable pattern. The black and blue, I believe it is also a really nice pattern. Maybe not as durable as the black and olive, but both work well for looking like a lot of different insects. We're having a theme here where we're doing a lot of tractor patterns, but a lot of times in the winter, that's what you're going to do, at least with your first couple patterns, if you're fishing 2 or 3 flies. Looks a little bit like a zebra midge, but has a little more extra flash in there and maybe a little more bubble carrying aspects there to make it look like an emerging fly. So, yeah.
Bubble clearing aspects.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
They're emerging.
I can attest to that. You want another fact? Drop that thing in the tank.
Yeah.
Little air bubble just pops right there. Like I know that happens. I trust that when the fly tires say that happens, it happens. But to actually see it happen, it's like, oh yeah. And that's exactly what happens with insects too. Wow, that's crazy. Cool. Why do you like the poison tongue?
Poison tongue is like your freestone black beauty.
Yep, that's a good
one. Right?
Yeah.
If you're feeling, the blue, I love the blue poison tongue. That like Arc, Colorado, Eagle, boom. Same with black. Poison tongue is just a versatile midge for any of the freestones. Gets down, of course, great tailwater bug too. But like you use your black beauty anywhere on the South Platte. If you use poison tongue anywhere on a freestone, it's gonna be you'll catch it. You'll catch fish. And I mean, of course, versatile to tailwaters as well. But that's just
I think that's an apt description. The free water, the freestone, Black Beauty. I like that. Cool.
About that bubble carrying ability.
Yeah.
fact. I mean, zebra midges. Do zebra midges carry bubbles? I don't.
No,
think so.
they don't have.
Not as much.
No way,
Not as
man.
much. Maybe a little.
I don't think so at all, man.
Catch
They got
more
nothing
fish,
to catch
yeah.
those bubbles. You know?
Catch more fish with trouts.
Right.
If
Bubbles.
you don't catch fish,
It's
go
relying
drink
on
beer.
the silver bead to look like the bubble, probably.
Ooh.
Could be.
What about the gold bead ones though?
Or the gold.
Stop using gold bead zebra midges.
Bubbles.
Silver.
Silver bead only. Not fact though. We can't say fact.
Yeah, we
Can't
can't
say
say that
fact.
yet.
Yeah.
Maybe later.
All right.
A couple episodes from now.
You guys should
Preference.
go test that for us.
Yeah. So that's flight number 3. We're going to get to the question and answer portion. Let's do it. All right, we've reached the question and answer portion. Appreciate you guys dropping all those questions for January in the last video. We've picked 3. Before we mention, these 3 people are going to get a little Trouts prize pack. And then if you have any questions for February, drop them down below. We will be having, obviously, Landon here to help answer some questions next month as well. So looking forward to that. Drop them down below. But let's get started.
Let's get to it.
First question is from Julian Dawkins. Julian asks, what's your advice for cherry picking holes in the winter? With the fish being less active, it seems like you have to spend a little bit more time in holes just to make sure you're getting the fly in front of the right in front of the fish. How much time do you guys spend moving on the river during these times? Does your previous knowledge of the river affect this either? Like already knowing where the productive holes and where they are and all that sort of stuff. Tanner, your thoughts?
Yeah, if it's a place that I've fished a good amount of times and I know where fish are going to be, I am certainly bouncing around to cherry pick holes. I think that just gives you such an advantage. It's like it's wintertime. The days are actually pretty short. So if you're spending time at places winter's not the time to like learn the river. I don't think, I mean,
That's a hot take.
Yeah. I mean, yes. yes.
Right.
And no.
I understand what you're saying, though.
You know what I mean? Like that's not the time where you're like, hey, I'm going to go grind out and find some new spots in a river I fish 1,000 times. It's like
Fair.
But
if you haven't fished it 1,000
right,
times.
Right. That's a flip to this question.
Right.
Yeah. If I've never been to a river, I'm covering ground until I like start sticking on a fish. But yes, once I find a place in a new river where I get like 2 or 3 and 4 drifts, like I'm fishing that run for the next hour.
No.
So yeah, I will certainly cherry pick runs, whether it's at the Dream Stream, the Arc, the Colorado. Like I know where I'm going and I know what depth that hole is mostly going to be. There's always been fish there for years. Let's go pound some fish and, that's my take. I'm not looking for anything new in the winter. I'm looking to just get out of the house and catch fish where I've caught fish before.
Yeah.
Which is not usually my take. So, usually about new, but wintertime.
That's true.
Like, I'm not trying to go on an adventure when it's dark at 3:58.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, these guys know when they fish with me, I will sit in a hole for a long time, and if it's a hole,
Hole sitter Zeke.
I'm just working that spot and just trying to find every little potential seam in there and and sometimes you'll find them and you'll be like, oh, there's I just caught 5 fish right off this one little seam. If it's a river I don't know, I'm definitely working that river until I find those holes with the right depth and the right speed of water. You don't want it too fast or too slow. Or too shallow. So you're just kind of looking for those zones. And then, also if it's super deep and lurky, sometimes it's really hard to get your flies down to the bottom of those, to those fish. The currents in those, where there's big boulders in there, will make that line, that leader of yours to do all kinds of swirly stuff. And if you don't have enough weight, so those are really hard to fish. So really just trying to find your best spots and then dissecting that spot as much as you possibly can to see how many fish you can catch out of there. And sometimes you'll surprise yourself. It's like 40 fish in one area. And, I mean that's maybe exaggerating, but sometimes there is, and you'll be super surprised when you're just like, wow, I just stayed in one spot for
How many times have we fished with Zeke on the Colorado the winter and we're like, oh my God, like I need to move. Like we got like 10 in this hole, and we'll like head down around the corner. Like we'll come back and like Zeke's finally walking down. We're like, how would you? He's like, 43. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. 43. I hooked 82 others, but Only got those
Should've-
43 in the
he's
net.
like,
It
"You
could
guys
have been
should've-
better.
Yeah, you guys should have stayed. You're like, oh, okay. Like, and then you watch him the next hole. You're like, oh my god. Like,
He's also usually wading up to his chest, like throwing some outrageous mend.
Really?
Or you're like standing on a rock, like a precarious rock that took a really big wade, and then you're like, dude, did you really need to get there? And you're like, hey man, I'm just really crushing them.
right.
Got 43.
He's like, I found
They've
this-
all been eating
yeah.
the poison tongue, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like I found this rock when I first started coming here in 1982, and I know it's out here at this flow. You're like, okay, man.
Beep boop, beep boop.
I got a few on a Mercury PT. Like let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I think something that
Speaks to you more than anything.
Right.
I think
something I've probably said if you've watched the old forecast, and I've probably said it a bunch in here. It's like in the winter, you find like something that what Zeke was saying. Like you find one fish, you should probably repeat that drift several times because there's a fair chance that there's going to be more than that fish there, and like you can. Like we've had times on the Eagle, right, where like there's gonna be fish in there, and you find that one drift where they're eating, and you try to repeat that over and over again. Like that one day we went down, it was a couple years ago, and it was like we weren't catching, and then I found that one seam, and it was like, oh yeah, bing, bing, bing. And then you stepped in and caught a couple, and we rotated because like they're just finding the right like conditions, the right depth, the right current speed to get the food delivered to them where they don't have to move a ton. And I think that's like the biggest thing, right? So like, yeah, spending more time on a hole in the winter time is like, I mean, if you're not catching them,
facts for you.
If you're not catching them, then yeah, move along. But if you're catching them,
Are you ready for some facts?
hit me with a fact.
So
you want to talk stoneflies?
In the wintertime, when there's like, how many fish are there in the Colorado per mile? Like 5,200, something like that, 4,800, something like that.
Yep.
It's like when the water's lower and they're condensed, it's like guys, this is why you stay in one hole, because like in the summertime, those fish are spread out everywhere, man. There's probably actually fish like here, 5 together here. Yeah. In the wintertime, there's like probably if you catch 40, you certainly didn't catch the other 600 that are down there. You know what I mean? Like if you're find that drift like they're down there,
Yep.
And to that point too, I'm a lot of times moving up. Slowly up and slowly down within that hole as you maybe catch some fish in the top of the hole after you move back down and then move back to them, more fish have moved back in. So, you can catch a lot of different fish.
And also, like, if you change your drift, those fish are going to be there, right? Like, you can work up and you, like, hitting the drift, like, casting upstream might not be great. And then you get, like, up above it and you, like, cast and you're, like, working it back down. You're like, oh, my God.
Finds
and then
the
all of
right
a sudden, it's, like, finds a right bucket.
pace.
And all of a sudden, it's going down, like, right below your left arm or something like that. And it's just like, I was just fishing that area, but maybe wasn't getting right in there.
It's like a testament to presentation more than anything, right? Like in winter time, your presentation has to be whether or not, like, you could be fishing your fly well, you can be presenting it well,
but if it's not where
they're at, it doesn't matter. But like finding the right presentation for a place where there's fish, I think that can be key too. So you can go back to a winter run or hole consistently and find those fish again. Like if the flows might be different, like the substrate might have changed because you've had higher flows over the last year and like stuff moved, but the right conditions are there. Like just working on your presentation, I think, is key. So
and your hook set too, because in that long drift below you, a lot of times that hook set's hard. I've had customers say, "Hey, I can't set the hook." You're like, "Well, you're not going to get a strike if you don't do that," and so you just got to figure out that hook set too. So.
Right. So that's when you're sitting there. It's like, is it better to be getting eats and not catching fish, or is it better to be blind and just think the fish aren't eating, Like, up.
Right.
And Zeke could be like,
ding.
And I'll be able to.
Casting left-handed. Yeah.
Right.
Love to do that.
I mean, it makes sense, though. I mean, it absolutely does.
Cool. Hope that answered your question, Julian. We're going to move on to question number 2. This is from Dade King. It says, with low flows and clear water of winter, I'm almost always sight fishing this time of year. In my local Freestone River in southern Colorado, I'm often seeing active fish at the bottom of deep, slow runs. I know a general rule for indicator nymphing is to place the indicator 1.5 to 2 times the water depth, but this would require my leader to be 20 feet long. How do you get a fly deep enough to these fish while being able to see the take? I know that fish are there because I can see them, but I wouldn't be able to see the take without an indicator that depth. Is it just a guessing game as as to when you get to strike? Should I not be targeting these fish and instead going after ones in shallower water? Thank you.
Yeah, we talked about this as we were leading up, looking at the questions we wanted to ask. And, kind of the consensus we came is a lot of times we might try for these fish a little bit, and you can definitely adjust that length of that leader and whatnot. One thing I literally just thought of as I was talking about it, if it's clear enough and you can find that precarious rock that we were talking about, you can get up there and maybe sight fish. You can think like, okay, I think that fly is to that fish, and you might be able to see a movement or a mouth open. But a lot of times, you'll give it a few shots and maybe you switch sides of the river. I mean, if it's your only option, maybe you really try to work on it. But a lot of times, if it's not your only option, you move up to where there's a little faster moving water, fish that don't need to, aren't seeing that super slow twisting line coming down that you can hardly ever please. So move on to that other fish that is a little easier to please.
I think
it tortures us all.
Yeah.
If we all see that fish, I mean, it's like, but at what point do you I mean, you probably would. You're right. If you want a 20-foot leader down to your indicator, you will probably catch those fish and be productive that way. But it's like Zeke just alluded to, finding that set. How are you going to land that fish with that long of leader with your indicator, stuff like that. So there is, in my opinion, a point you can get whooped sitting and staring at those aquarium pools. And we all have done it. I will say that I don't do it, and then I'll go to Cheeseman Canyon and be like, boom.
Look at them,
and then waste 3 hours and not get down to fish. Try to find other fish, especially if you're sight fishing. Look for that same type water speed or something like that, but maybe go find it in a run where it's more conducive, where you can get down. If you find same water, fish are holding in 20 feet, there's probably hopefully somewhere where it's like maybe they're holding in 8 to 10 and you're getting that same speed, that same type of drop, something like that. So
I think the other thing that goes to is like, how active are they if they're sitting 20 feet, or I guess not 20 feet deep. That's if he's doing 2 times the water depth, they're in 10 feet of water. Like, how active are they? Because if they're active, they'd be elevating, right? You'd be seeing them like actively going after stuff. And I just feel like it could be, and I mean, I might be speaking out of turn, but usually when they're that deep in the middle of winter, they're pretty glued to the bottom.
Might be the opportunity when you're tired of nymphing and you really want to catch those fish, and maybe that's when you try to coax one up with a streamer, right? Because you maybe can see in those rocks, and maybe they're
dead
not
drift
eating
a streamer
nymphs,
down there.
Maybe they're looking for something else like that. So dead drift a streamer, or just see if you can get their attention by pulling it through their area, or looking like it's pulling out of the rocks or something like that. So
I think also, and I'm by no means am like a indicator nymphing expert, but generally.
Not even close. Fact.
Right. Fact.
That's
like fifth fact of the day. But like, if you're going to have 20 feet of leader between you and a size 22 fly, like if the water's flowing this way, the indicator's here, you've got 20 feet, the fish is here, you got 20 feet.
Right.
Like, that's a tough drift, number one. But number two, if this fish eats a size 22 down here, like, the delay is going to be wild, right? You're gonna have to predict, like, you're gonna have to be looking at the fish's mouth to see if it ate a fly and then guess on it, because you're not going to be able to. It's going to spit the fly by the time you get the registration up here.
Not to mention the amount of split shot you probably have to.
Right. And so I just think those fish, like Tanner said, like, you go into Cheeseman Canyon and I will undoubtedly fall into this trap at least once a trip. And I will tell myself, what would Scott Dixon do? Scott Dixon would tell me to never fish this fish ever again.
Right. It's the same with the arc. You're elevated over so many places, like through the canyon, and you're like,
I can get
fish down there, and then you go down there like, I don't have a chance.
Right.
It sucks to face that, but yeah.
Sometimes you gotta be like, hey, and it might, and for sure, like, you can do a lot more sight fishing in the winter because the flows are lower and clearer, but there are times when you're like blind nymphing into like a likely run, and finding the right conditions can be more productive than trying to chase the fish that are glued to the bottom. Like, I think that can be a place where you can suck time out. Like it's a big time suck over the course of a winter day. So hopefully that answers your question, Dade. Appreciate it. And we'll reach out to you to get your prize pack. So cool. Last question is from Wolfgang Zahner. Zahner? Do you know?
Yeah, Wolfgang. he comes in the shop quite a bit. Probably done a few
Yep.
guide trips.
Got a few guide trips with us.
Apologies if I mispronounced your last name, Wolfgang. But his question is, what's a good way to determine how much split shot to use when nymphing? I typically put split shot above the blood knot that ties into my first fly by about 12 to 18 inches, but I've heard people using split shot on the bottom of their rig. What are your thoughts on using one over the other in different situations in Colorado?
I typically use it. Will use that above that blood knot, and just really just looking for myself to be snagging the bottom every couple casts, maybe not every cast, and also depending on what the bottom is. If I'm pulling up a lot of green, then maybe a little less weight, and just hoping that it's enough weight. But usually those are good scenarios where then you're actually seeing a strike and not just bottom. Yeah. The weight on the very end, it has its times that it can be really good. I tend to snag a little more on that situation, and it's a very technical cast, whereas it might end up in the back of your head, and that doesn't feel too good usually, or in a hit in the ear. That always will, on a cold day, will make you not want to do that technique ever again. So, not to mention the flies going. So you just, it can be really good in that scenario. Then maybe you pick up some Euro nymphing, and because that might be even a better way to do it. In that similar where you're gonna have weights, but it's the weight of the fly at the end there.
So that's I think that's called the Provo bounce rig, right? Where you have the flies in line, and then you put a lot of those dudes over there are moving more to Euro stuff, because that, I think from what I understand, and it's the same thing. Like I learned that on the Beaverhead when I was in Montana. Like it's like a rectangle. Hey, fact drop.
Fact.
It's a tailwater shaped like a rectangle, and like you want to get flies down, and the substrate's it's not like huge rocks, and so you can get it to bounce pretty well. Where you run into issues is more where you get through boulder fields, and like that will just get stuck on a big boulder. Right. So you want have a more consistent, uniform substrate, and that it's a little bit tougher in a lot of our Colorado rivers, where like the Colorado, the Arkansas, like there's the Eagle, like the substrate's not consistent, right? So I think probably moving towards maybe like a Euro style would be more effective, at least here. But
yeah, and I mean that technique I use for lakes. That's a great technique for fishing out of the boat with lakes. That also may be a good technique for that fish that's 20 foot down, But again, maybe that Euro nymphing rig is better.
What do you think about how do you determine how much split shot you put on?
I mean, so wintertime,
set it and forget it.
It'll be supposedly battle through it, Yes, I mean it's above the surgeon knot or blood knot, whichever you're using. I'll sometimes in the winter, if you're using skinnier tippet, just to keep those split shot from sliding, I'll tie like two and have a little hinge. I don't know if it's like a hinge, but like a knot up above my weight, not below, so those weights aren't sliding away at my leader. Right. But yeah, I'm always going to be above my flies because I'm indicator nymphing, and I'm not very good at that, as you guys can attest to. But yeah, if I'm looking for
your moments,
if I'm looking for weight on the bottom of my nymph rig, I'm just weighting that fly. That's a great time to have as your bottom fly, like that 2-bit hooker or something that has quite a bit of weight, but will still get an eat, I think. Yeah. And it can kind of balance out that split shot and maybe get your bugs down or something like that. But mostly I'm up above, and
I think also picking how much weight you're going to put above your split shot depends on how much weight's in your flies. Like, are your flies heavily weighted, or are they without weight? If they are, maybe lighten up. If they aren't, maybe add some more weight. But also what you're fishing, right? So if you're fishing at the head of a run and you need to get down fast to a pocket, you're going to put on more weight. But if you're trying to fish a long, slow run and you want to get down deep, you're going to put on, less. And so I think determining where you think you're going to be catching the fish determines how much weight you're going to put on, and how fast you need to get down, or whether you can get it down slower, and then maybe there's a hydraulic you need to deal with or something like that. I think that plays into the decision making. So, did you have a comment?
No, you're just rolling today.
I've got thoughts,
guys. getting like Yvonne's like facts today. This is good. This is good. He's
Fact
like,
episode.
He's talking about hydraulics and
Hey, man, I'm just trying to break out my old geology
I love
terms,
it.
you know?
Yeah. Facts.
You want me to go fluvial geomorphology on your ass? Can we talk about shear stress, please? Nobody? All right. Okay, fine. All right, appreciate you guys asking the questions for this month's episode. Obviously, drop them down below for February for Landon, myself, and Tanner. I'll probably won't talk as much next time. It won't be an Yvonne fact episode, you know?
And I believe we were talking about one of the last questions. We were also saying some of these answers might have helped that. In
Arnado's question.
Arnado's question.
Yeah. Like how can you increase the number of catches per day? Yeah. Like the number of fish you catch per day? Like I think a lot of those, like.
Yeah, I would say if you're just starting, I mean, learn that success, remember it, you know, have a memory. You know, if you've caught a fish in this run, you know, it's probably get confidence to go there and be able to catch a fish in that run every time you go.
This is something that I fight on a regular basis is like when I'm fishing bobbers, I might not remember exactly how I presented a fly and then, I caught one. Then I'm trying to replicate what I did. Like, where did I make that drift? When did I make those mends? Don't do what I do. Do something better than that. Like, remember, be like engaged in your fishing and like, I made this drift. I nailed a fish, you know?
He's still going.
Yeah. Well, and you know,
facts.
And you can definitely have a journal. We talk about being a little nerdy. One of the things I always tell when I'm doing my guide academy, the best thing that a guide can do is have a good memory, you know, and that's literally whether it's looking at low water and then making that.
What are the name of my kids?
What's that?
What are the name of my kids?
Name of your kids?
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't got that one.
Terrible.
That's all right.
Oh my God, is that, man? Come on, man. You can't remember my kids' names?
Put me on the spot. I do know your kids.
All right. My guys. My guys. I know you know. But you sort of don't know, do you?
I was going to tell you your wife's name.
I don't remember her name.
Yes.
All right. Let's get to the rest of the flies. Fly number 4 is the Juju B Midge Flash, size 22 in zebra. Another Craven pattern.
Yeah.
For Zeke Hersh.
You got it. Yeah. One of my favorites.
Why?
Because of that flash. Not all the time do I like to fish midges with flash, but as my last fly.
But when you do.
He is the most interesting man in the world.
When I do, this is one of my favorites. There's a lot of other patterns out there that are very similar, but this is just a favorite in that black or zebra color. Looks pretty much like a lot of the midge larvae on the bottom of the rocks, and then add that little flash on there. If there's an emergence going on, that's going to really trigger some good strikes, and or just grab their attention, even if there is not an emergence going on. So it's just a good pattern to be searching, and or just a good go-to pattern for any of your little freestones and or tailwaters alike.
Right.
Well said. No one's ended a sentence quite as well as you did right there.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hard to come back on that.
Confidence. Have
key.
confidence in that fly, and I think most of us do. You know, so it's if I'm fishing a flashy midge, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Can't even really think of another flashy midge that you would use if it's not the Juju B midge flash. Craven bugs, they catch fish. If Zeke fishes them, they really catch fish.
Right. That's true.
Catch fish.
Me and Yvonne fish
One
them.
time you told me you were fishing an Oprah Winfrey fly, and I don't know what that meant.
Me and Yvonne.
And I've been trying to find that fly. I don't know. I've searched the internets. I've asked people about it. I don't know what that Oprah Winfrey fly is. You're like, it's just a little cat submerged. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't know. Dog, I've never heard of
I
it.
don't remember that fly. What are you talking about?
One day on the Colorado with Chris and Tanner. It's that day that you were like, remember we were drifting into that, like it was the only stretch that was open.
We were mooning the train.
Yep.
I think that was somebody else telling you that Oprah Winfrey fly.
Dude, it was you. It was 100% you. I remember, I remember my kids' names. And I remember it was you.
Vaguely, I remember a fly named the Oprah Winfrey, but I don't remember what it was.
I wish you would because I want that fly.
What the fly? It was catching fish.
It's probably just a hare's ear, let's be honest.
Probably was.
Hare's ear with some hackle on it.
Or I just named it bad fly.
It's when you didn't trust me.
It's like the heathen fly, the guy who told me at the Dream Stream years and years ago. He's like, what are you using? I said, what are you using? He's like, the heathen. And I was like, oh, I never heard of it. And he's like, well, I guess it doesn't matter me telling you what it is. Some smart ass.
Valid.
Was that one time when you went fishing with Cody and they asked him what fly he was using?
Yeah, that was.
What was his answer?
We were at Mount Massive. We were getting a fish like up there, that club, and those old guys. I mean, they don't enjoy if guests are coming there catching more fish. And my brother was just pounding fish, man. This old guy's like, it's pretty normal up there. Like if someone's catching fish, like just tell them what they're biting on. Like not like anyone else is gonna come.
Right.
And the guy's like, hey, what are they biting on over there? And Cody's just like, secret.
That's right.
And that old guy got pissed, bro.
Of course.
I was like on the other side and could hear it. I started laughing immediately because if you know my brother, that's exactly what Cody like that.
Right. Secret.
Only that guy could deliver.
What you
it.
using?
It was absolutely hilarious.
Secret.
I literally designed a fly to go out to find that guy again. It was out of my buddy's dog's hair named Lucy.
Yeah.
And I just called it the Lucy fur fly, and it caught fish on the South Platte really well. And I
There
was
we
just
go.
like, I'm going to find that guy, and I'm going to tell him. He's going to be like, what you using? It's a Lucifer fry.
I got
He's
you,
like,
man. I got you.
You don't know what it is?
You don't know what it is, you devil lovers?
All right, that's fly number 4. Let's get to fly number 5. Fly number 5 is the Juju Emerger, also a Craven pattern, brown 18. We clearly exciting Tanner quite a bit with this fly. Yep. He loves this fly.
You know, another great pattern. I really like the Juju Emerger in the fact that it's a super durable,
Right.
like RS2 lookalike, but a little more durable in my opinion. And can look like a lot of different things, whether it's an emerging midge or a emerging blue wing olive, all kinds of other bugs moving around in the water, or just something that a fish is like that kind of looks like food. Holds a little air bubble on there. We know about the air bubble ability.
Can't confirm. Does hold
does hold some air.
Does hold the air availability.
You got that on camera. So it's just a great pattern to attract that attention of those trout, and sometimes that's what you need.
Yeah.
I think most effective way for me to fish that fly, obviously you can nymph it, but with that little CDC, it's when you're getting like some really picky risers, like your Deckers, your Cheeseman, stuff like that during a midge hatch or even a BWO hatch, like put a little bit of floating magic on that bad boy, and it's just like trail it behind something that's floating, and it's like, I don't even know. It's exactly where it needs to be. Right. Everyone is always like, oh, you want right below the surface? It's like that fly finds it.
Right. Whatever that is for the techie guys out there.
Super versatile fly. You can throw a little floating on there, and you can fish it as a dry fly. If you
won't be able to see it, but
right. That's why you have another fly. Right.
Even when you have 2 small dry flies, though, like
you just gotta find one.
Right.
Just find one and let whatever happens that one react.
The most underrated thing is like from a funny standpoint of fly fishing is like you false setting on like a rise. It's like where you think your flies are and you like pick up and your flies are like 6 feet away. You're like, what was I watching?
Right.
You know, like,
hey man.
He's like, oh, and he's like, oh, the fish. You're like watching the fish come up all confident. You're like,
but we've all been
like over there and you just spook him and put him down. You're like, what was I doing? You know.
But we've all benefited from hopeful sets though.
True.
Where it's like. Yep. I don't see it anymore. I got it the whole time, and I had that fish. I was locked in. I saw the thing.
That's so weird, but yeah, it's a great fly.
Yeah. End it with fly number 6, also a versatile fly, Griffin Snat.
Griffin Snat, yes, because we did talk about possible to catch fish on that RS2 or the Juju Emerger. But now, if you're actually targeting fish that are rising, the Griffin Snat's a great pattern. And you might not see it again. It might be a fish you're going to fish double dries with, so maybe a little bit bigger parachute Adams in front of there, or some other midge pattern, or maybe a high vis Griffin Snat. Right. But you can't go wrong if you're seeing fish rising in the wintertime. Good chance they're eating midges or clusters of midges, and that's going to be a great representation of that pattern. So.
This is a size 20. You can do 22s, 24s. You can do a 16 or 18, right?
For sure, 100%.
So you're trying to get clusters, protein-rich clusters.
Protein-rich clusters. Yeah. They need protein in the wintertime.
It's like the quintessential midge dry fly. Like, it's like, you have to have those.
Right in your box, 100%.
Get them at Frisco.
100%.
Yeah, Frisco has them
online. I think we have one.
Yeah. Do you guys ever nymph Griffin Snats?
No.
Loser.
I have
dude.
not, but you
Loser.
It might as
Are
well
you about
be.
to drop some more? Yvonne
Another
giving
fact.
us some facts
Hey.
today. Let's go.
Fact alert. Bow, 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 bow. You can nymph them.
Oh yeah, that's like a renegade,
Right?
right?
You can nymph them.
You could probably fish a
I
renegade.
fished
as a
with you
dry
for like
fly.
15 years.
I have
dude.
nymphed
You've
them.
Never nymphed
I have nymphed them.
Griffin Snat
I have
or
caught
nymphed this
fish
ever.
on nymph Griffin Snats in your face.
Fact.
Fact.
No way.
It's like, is that number 10? What is that?
Yvonne's coming out with secrets that he had in his journal. He's like, 5 flies,
Yeah.
January 2022. Have now known Tanner for 12 years. Griffin Snat on the nymph rig.
Dearest,
Like, what?
dearest,
Like,
jour-
what, dude?
dearest journal, dearest journal.
It is now time.
The long game has been played, and I have got Tanner exactly where I want him. I will drop my Griffin Snat fact on him today,
I love it.
January
Next time we fish.
2022.
Next time we
Yeah,
fish.
next time we fish, you're
All day.
Griffin Snat. 3 of them.
Yeah,
Hey, we're going to Louisiana a couple days. I'm just gonna Griffin Snat on the pop and cork rig. Dude, I caught him. Smack that fish.
It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see that fish.
It's gonna be a little freaking mullet.
Hey man, fish is a fish,
Fish a fish. If
Yeah.
you land a mullet on fly, though, that's respect.
right? That would actually be a bigger accomplishment than catching a lot of other fish on a fly. Let's be
I think
real.
so,
Yeah, most definitely.
I've cast a lot of mullet in my life. Down in Sarasota, I've met. I was like, dude, I think those were tarpon. They were not.
The best mullet story
They were
with this
mullet.
dumbass is like he like pops his drone up or like coasting down this little island in near New Orleans, and he's just like, you just hear him. He's like, "Oh boys!" He's like all excited. He's like under his hood. It's all sunny. He's like, "There are like 500 redfish coming our way." He's like, "We're about 200 yards away. Like, get ready, get ready." And me and Chuck are like,
Moulet,
we're
moulet.
like, "Oh hell yeah, hell yeah!" And we get up there and it's just like, we're like, "They're mullet, fool." He's like, "They look like the biggest mullet ever on my phone or whatever." You know?
I was flying the
It was
drone.
good. Yeah, it was good.
And Chuck had just warned us about. He's like, "Hey man, like
Right.
they're gonna like mullet are gonna look pretty big in that." And I was like,
Right.
"Yeah, I got you, man. I have a pretty good idea of what a redfish looks like. I'm good." And I look at him like, "Ooh, yeah. Look at all those reds. Oh my god, it's huge." And they're just all mullet.
Right.
But then we did see like looking back, we saw some big jacks on it. There just weren't any redfish around that trip. Like literally, like
And everybody's been fooled by a spot of mullet,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean,
the first time I tried to go catch snook, I casted a lot of mullet.
hey, I was on a redfish trip with this guy who's never gone red fishing, and like he kept just shouting out to mullet that he's like calling them risers. He's like, "Risers," and he was like, "I don't think we have the right fly on." And I'm like, "Yo, man, those are just mullet, just flip flopping around."
Yeah.
He'd be like, "Riser over there, riser over there," and you could just tell the guy was just like, "Okay, cool, man."
Yeah,
I was just like, "What the?" I was like, "Shut the
yeah.
up." But it was
Fish
good.
is a fish. If I catch, I'm gonna catch a mullet on a nymph's Griffin Snat over the weekend. It's gonna be fun.
I hope you do. Report
In your
back.
face, my friend.
That thing's gonna jump.
Fact.
He's gonna flip flop.
Then I'll be able to come back and fact
Can we put a fact count
that.
on
Yeah.
this video?
Ding.
I want
Exactly.
3 or
I think
4
that would be
fact
good.
counts. Like,
Yeah.
Ding fact. This is gonna be the longest episode. We appreciate you all for tuning in with
Yeah,
us.
yeah. So
Because like we talked a lot.
we did. This is what happens when bros get together and talk.
Right,
You know,
right.
just a couple bros talking about bro stuff.
Talking about bro stuff.
So we appreciate Zeke making the trip down from Frisco. Tanner, thank you again.
You appreciate me.
It was a
making the
real
drive
pleasure.
over
It was a
for
real
the show.
pleasure to see you again.
Can you say something? Can you start this over? Because I want you to appreciate me driving over from the shop to Barbary as well.
Oh, you
Yeah. We appreciate you driving. Yeah. We appreciate you driving over. Yeah. It was a long drive. I know that was a lot. You know, it was pretty hard on you. You know. So appreciate you guys tuning into the longest episode of Five Flies in the history of Five Flies. Let us know down in the comments if you love this. How long this was. This was like a journey. We just went on an epic.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun talking about it. And,
Yeah, speak for yourself. I had a terrible time. Zeke. So if you guys have any questions for next week or next month with Landon Mayer, drop them down in the comments below. We will be giving out prize packs as well. Hopefully, I've got some things to work trying to step up the quality of the prize packs. Right now, you guys get some like Trouts hats and some stuff that I have, some swag that I have laying around. I'm trying to step it up. So let that be a notice to me that I have to step it up. Hopefully by next month. So yeah. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And as always, you can see us here at the shop in Denver.
And
Frisco.
Come get those flies.
Online.
Online.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Later.
Later.